Well, that's how I feel.
It's fine. Let's do this.
Okay, we're here. Hey, everybody. Jenna Gray and Katie Moe with Connect California Homes and Guaranteed Rate. It is the first Thursday of March, and we're back. We're laughing because we're trying to figure out our glasses. It's like,
And I want to commend you, Katie, because I know Katie's in Vegas right now for a conference, but she's so dedicated to doing this that she rallied this morning. So
it's the last day. We've been at a conference. I've been here since Sunday, and I'm about 50% in on the conference, like lots of sessions in the mornings, and then afternoons I'm just kind of walking around. But it's weird in Vegas. It's snowing. It's so cold.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like the snow on the mountains around here. It's actually quite beautiful. But no, I am extremely thankful to be here. My husband works for ICE Mortgage Technology, and it's their user experience that they have every year. And he and his team lead the event, and it's such an incredible event. I love coming. It's best in class, honestly. And the Wynn, we're at the Wynn, and the service here, they're like the Nordstrom and Disneyland of customer service, beyond that. They're just it's so fun. And I will quick plug, I was lucky enough to be included in an event on Monday that was the Executive Leadership Summit, a small group of people, maybe 60 of us. And the keynote speaker was former President George W. Bush. And I got to meet him and take a picture with him. And he talked for an hour, I think was his session. And it was incredible.
What was the topic?
Well, it's about leadership. And so it was really great. He had a moderator, Kelly Loeffler, former senator and of Georgia. She was super prepared. She had like 40 pages of notes. And George, Mr. Bush, Mr. President, whatever you call him, W, he went off the cuff. Like, she would have a question and he'd cut her off and he'd want to talk about something else. And so huge kudos. Kelly was amazing. She adapted and adjusted beautifully. And the conversation was just awesome. I did a reel on my Instagram. One of like the biggest takeaways, obviously, from a leadership perspective, it really was trying to hone in on leadership. He talked a lot about, surrounding yourself with smart people, get the smartest people in the room and put them on your team. But then he also said the most important part is that you have to listen. You can't just put them in there. You actually have to listen to them. So he talked a lot about that, which I thought was really interesting. And one of my favorite takeaways was, because I feel the same way, was about learning, always be learning. He said, one of the things he missed the most about being in the Oval Office was learning. He said, you can imagine you are learning something every single day. You have people coming to you, sharing something, informing you about something. And so he said at age 70, he looked at Laura and was like, I think I want to learn how to paint. One of his greatest heroes is Winston Churchill. And there's some essay he referenced that talked about Winston Churchill becoming a painter. And so he hired an art professor from SMU to come and teach him how to paint. And he does pet portraits. He said, it's really amazing.
Hysterical.
The way it's evolved. But what's so cool is once he got really good, his professor, his teacher, went and introduced him to this, like the head of the art program at SMU. And the art program guy was like, well, you need to go start painting people. You're ready. And he was like, what? Like, you think I can do this? And so he talked about how, like, even at my age, you need to have people that challenge you and want you to level up. So he took it from painting, pieces of fruit to painting people. He has painted, I think 93, it's either 93 or 98 veterans who he said they are wounded. And he said they are wounded because I sent them into battle. And so he literally painted all of them. He's like, I have relationships with every single one of them. We go hiking, we play golf, we go mountain biking. I was like blown away, blown away. That was incredible. And then now he's also painting all of the world leaders that he ever worked with. So, and he has a book he published.
That's commendable. I mean, whatever your politics out there may be, one side or another, and I stay very tight-lipped on that
Same.
topic. But whatever your politics may be, that's very commendable.
It was, I was,
good for him that he
it was,
recognizes that.
it was incredible. It was, I mean, I was blown away, quite honestly. So that was really good. So that was amazing. So we've,
I always tell my son too, my son's 5.5, right? And like we've kind of, he's kind of like a little adult because he was an only child till very recently. But I always tell my son, same thing. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah. No,
and I don't think he doesn't know what that means quite yet. I mean,
no.
But
yeah.
But that's something that I always take for myself. My son's in this phase where he's like, I know everything. I'm the smartest in the world, and all these things. And I keep telling him, honey, every day I learn new things. Even in my field of what I do, what I've done for 20 years, I learn something new every single day.
And that it's the same when I talk about real estate. When I speak with new agents, people interested in joining the field, I talk about it all the time. I love this job because I am always learning. I am always having a new experience. You have to stay on top of it. You have to be, what's going on in the market, what's going on in the area, like so much. You're constantly learning. So yeah. So with that said, live from Las Vegas, I'm going to give you just a quick, brief overview market. It's really interesting. Obviously, February ended. We are now in March. Many things that I'm reading are saying that the spring market is here. We're in full spring or full swing. I have witnessed very, very active open houses, very active showings, brokers tours. People are out. There's definitely the urgency is different. We're not in the same psychology set, but as you and I have talked about, multiple offers are back. Competition is back. I think that the numbers I'm going to give you, at least for February, are interesting because it is competitive, but we're not yet seeing the level of competitiveness with regards to how aggressive buyers need to be, and then what are sellers' expectations of what they can receive. So just quick numbers. In Pleasanton, for the month of February, there were 17 homes that sold, closed escrow, keys exchanged hands. The highest price sale was $3.9 million, which is pretty normal. I mean, it's pretty normal for Pleasanton. I mean, right now we have 29 homes on the market that are active, and I think 50% of those are over 2 million. It's pretty normal for Pleasanton. Our prices are slightly higher. The median list price was 1,499 and the median sold was 1,540. Okay. So we've got a positive, the needle is moving in a positive direction from equity in terms of what your pricing is, but still low volume, only 17 homes. Looking over in like Alamo and Danville, and I just lumped them together. I know they're not the same, but Alamo's so little. There's only 4 homes in Alamo. And so from a data standpoint, I just put Alamo and Danville together. Oftentimes people do look at them because the schools, same school system, that sort of thing. Sure. They had a total of 23 homes sold during the month of February. The median list price there is 1,998. And the median sold is 195. So that's a market where there was a very subtle, really nominal, doesn't really make a difference.
Right, subtle decline.
Correct, slight. And then when you move to Livermore, which is always extremely active, they have stayed true to that. 48 homes sold during the month of February, which is our, smallest month of the year. The highest price home in Livermore was $3.2 million, which is amazing. There's a couple pockets in South Livermore that have some beautiful estate winery kind of estate homes. Right. That one sold in 4 days. Same asking price, 3.2, sold for 3.2. So when buyers see the value, when they see what they want, they're willing to go for it. Just in terms of Livermore as a whole, the median list price for the month of February was $1,024,000, and the sold median price was $1,037,000. Sorry to double check. $1,037,000. So they're going up again, a slight increase, but without a doubt, the highest level of activity in what is arguably in the East Bay, the most affordable market. I mean, right?
Yeah, and I feel like the idea that the price is slightly above list feels more equitable for me, right? Like if buyers don't have to come in and offer, hundreds of thousands over in that market, they can get it, kind of close to list price with a little bit of competitive edge.
And I mean, obviously this is lumping in all of those 48 homes, and the same in Pleasanton, the 17 homes. If you look at each line item, it is like 50-50 on sold for overpriced, sold for underpriced, sold for, it's, or over ask, under ask. It's not, there's really not a ton of consistency. So when people ask me, oh, how's the market? What's going on? I go back to the fact that I think it's a great market. I think that when a buyer loves a home, they're going to go for it. And when a seller prices their home correctly and prepares it correctly, buyers are going to show up. I mean, as evidence, like we have a client on our team that was, wrote an offer on a house in an affordable price point in San Leandro, 9 offers. And they lost out to they were, I don't know where they ended. I know they were in like the top 3, but they lost out to all cash. Yeah. So it's definitely, there's a lot of motivation still out there, out there.
I had a client write on a property this week, 22 offers. 22 offers.
What city is that in?
Walnut Creek.
Oh, well, yeah, Walnut Creek's inventory.
Not a lot of inventory in Walnut Creek.
Yes.
So when something comes on the market in that area, people are jumping on it.
Yeah, for sure. So that's my quick market update for the month of February. I want to ask you, Jenna, because I here at this conference, this is a conference that I've attended that is more for the mortgage industry, which is the software my husband supports. We had the head of MBA on stage yesterday, and he was awesome. And one of the things he talked about was some news out of FHA. And I don't want to paraphrase because I want it to be accurate. So what happened there?
Right. So, I mean, the key theme right now is affordability. As we all know, we've seen in the news, rates have come back up because of some jobs reports and really some kind of skewed numbers. Numbers are skewed in January typically because you have seasonal numbers, right? Mm-hmm. So January numbers are always a bit skewed. So that's why rates have, kind of come up. We haven't seen a whole lot of movement in inflation the way we want it to, which is why the Fed is talking about, not coming off the gas pedal for the Fed rate hikes. But rates have come up. So affordability is the theme. And so FHA has come out and they have stated that as of March 20th, they are lowering their monthly mortgage insurance premiums 30 basis points.
Wow.
And for some context, if you have an $800,000 loan, 30 basis points over the course of a year, I mean, you're $200 a month in monthly payment savings. And so that's huge, right? Because you typically, for FHA buyers, it's known as a first-time home buyer product, although it's not, it doesn't have to be. But it's, lower down payment, usually, sub 700 credit scores, folks that don't have a lot of cash on hand, they don't need reserves. Maybe they have some moving parts that are, not as conventional lending friendly, right? And so when you have those types of buyers who are being kind of limited by these higher mortgage insurance premiums that have been historically associated with FHA loans, it's really challenging because their monthly payment is higher and they can afford less. So by lowering these premiums, it's giving the this type of home buyer more opportunity to afford, some of these higher price points.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's really good. Have you seen in your business? I mean, I see FHA contracts come through all the time. And I mean, I think it's a great product, and I think it's something everyone thinks that they need 20% down. Right. And they don't, right?
No, they absolutely don't. And, so that's a really good point because everyone thinks, well, if you're less than 20% down, you have to be FHA. And that's not the case. Depending on the loan limit, right, where it is, you can put as little as 3% down on conventional up to the national conforming limit, and up to 5 and as little as 5% down on high balance, right? So you don't have to go FHA if you're less than 20% down, right? There are other options besides FHA, but for that buyer who kind of fits more into the FHA box, it's a really great alternative, to afford a home with less than 20% down.
Yeah, I mean, I think you started your kind of update talking just about affordability and how that's kind of the underlying theme. And it's interesting this week, that was a lot of the topic of discussion was how do we educate and inform and address that concern and address, I mean, it is what it is, unfortunately, but it's like these programs are out there that are going to help people, find the home or find the options for them. So
Right.
it's good to know that. I just feel like we keep on like having these expectations of, okay, so the Fed's going to do this, and then rates are going to do this, and then another report comes out, and then again we're seeing everything, rates are going back up and highest since November, and it's just like, this is where the media sometimes, I just have to shut it all off.
And something else pops into my brain as we're talking about this, because I kind of analyze why the government would make these decisions, right? So FHA is a government insured loan. That's what FHA is. It's a government insured loan. That's why you see lower interest rates on that product, because it's government insured, so less risk for the mortgage lender, right? And same thing with mortgage insurance loans, right? There's an insurance there that backs the loan up. So usually and historically, we would consider FHA kind of like a more risky client, right? We're usually sub 700, but that speaks to the level or lack thereof of default in that space. So everybody's like, oh, the market's going to crash, and there's going to be all these foreclosures, and there's going to be all these short sales. But if the government is decreasing the mortgage insurance premium, there's obviously some very strong numbers and lack of default in that space.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Speaks to, kind of the market, what we've seen over the last period of time. The government's not going to decrease their premiums because they're going to want that risk money up front. But if they're decreasing premiums, they obviously see that there hasn't been a lot of default in this space. So
I didn't even think about that. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. To make that kind of back end connection makes a lot of sense. A lot of faith and confidence in these programs.
Faith and confidence. Yeah. Also interesting, VA, right? So VA is it's guaranteed. It's a guaranteed loan by the VA, and they have announced that as of April 7th, they are reducing their funding fee by about, depending on the roughly 15 basis points, depending on where you're at on the scale as far as down payment and first time use or subsequent use. But they're decreasing their upfront funding fee. Now that typically gets financed into the loan. So that's not immediate affordability for the veteran, but it's also you're not tacking on as high of a premium.
Yeah. And it's two government programs where they are basically showing faith in the borrower.
Right.
I mean, and really trying to show positive momentum to help people get into homes.
Right.
Which is that's awesome.
Understanding really rates have come up, rates are higher. The market saw a big jump in prices, and that's kind of normalized a bit. But yeah, recognizing that affordability is a big deal, and seeing that there hasn't been as much default as there was after 2008.
And this is like a topic, because we're coming on almost 20 minutes, but a topic for another thing that came up as it relates to affordability. I've been seeing a lot of data come out recently that the affordability of homeownership doesn't end once you sign the papers and get the keys, and that there is also this new trend of people not understanding how hard it is and the affordability of caring for a home and making those decisions of just how to, like, your furnace breaks, or like there's needs to be that next level education of, okay, so once you got the mortgage and we can pay the mortgage, but you also have to understand this other care of the home and the affordability that goes into living in a house and the cost that goes with that. And there's been someone, I can't remember who it was. There's a woman, she was out of San Francisco on the main stage yesterday and was talking about that, and just how there's this next level of education that they're trying to do with a lot of first-time home buyers of like, okay, great, you got the house, what's next? You know?
Right, exactly. No, I think that's a really good point, because there are some tough conversations I have to have, from time to time with clients who are really trying to push higher than they really should be. And that conversation and just educating them, okay, like
Yeah.
let's really get down to the math here, and let's look at what your life is going to look like after you own this home. Like, what's your net? Let's reverse
Yeah.
that math, because
And
guess what? Things pop up. Furnace breaks.
I feel like you and I have had that conversation before where it's like, okay, let's go back all the way to the back end. Like, how much money per month are you going to dedicate to your mortgage and your insurance and your taxes? And then what are you left with? And
Right.
does that give you enough to live, to have a little fun, to save for emergencies on the home or personally?
Retirement,
Yes.
travel. Yeah.
You kind of have to go back to that. Okay, what kind of life do you want to have? Do you want to travel? Do you want to, and you can't, the whole being house poor, old adage. But I think that people, I'm not a financial advisor, but I definitely can do basic math.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, with that, we're at over 20 minutes. We're going to kind of basically close it out for this week from Las Vegas. Katie Moe. I'll be back next week. I think all in all, you'll probably see more data come out about what's happening in February. I just ran these numbers this morning, or what happened in February, and then we'll see how March takes us. I know that there's a lot, hopefully, inventory coming. We've got listings coming in Pleasanton and Danville, and we got buyers out there. It's definitely an active market, but I also think a very healthy market. So once again,
we'll have some reports out next week as well, as far as jobs and some other key indicators. So it'll be interesting to see where interest rates go from this week to next.
Awesome. So from us, thank you for being here. You guys will be back next week. As always, reach out to either one of us if you have any questions. And thanks for being here.